So, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, if I can now do something rather unusual in such a notable assembly, may I ask you if you would then play along with me and stand up, and then I will tell you then what to do. Now, I do this in class with my pupils, and I give them a number. So they say 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 2, 2, 2, 2. 2, 2, 2. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. And when I stamp my foot, would all the people who are number 1 sit down? When I stamp again, would all who are number 2 sit down? Would all who are number 3 on the 3rd stamp, and 4 on the 4th stamp, and then us 5 afterwards? Ready? The Battle of Cold Harbor in the American Civil War, 50 years before. That was how fast the soldiers died in the 20 minutes of the battle. We calculated that it would have taken 10 minutes to kill the whole of my school. And this was the American Civil War. What is worse, the generals in the First World War knew what this war would actually mean, and they still did it. That is the big problem. So the question is, how did we get to this past? Well, it starts in the minds and hearts of people, but now let's consider the details in more detail now, and let's see what we then get. Good. It's working. So, this, as you know, I have called Great Powers on Their Way to Ragnarok. And it's about how did things lead up to a First World War, and it's very much a Western rather than an Eastern European perspective. But we're talking of such a big movement that there are many sides to it. But a colleague of mine says this, that the formation of the blocs and of alliances prior to the First World War was something new in world politics. You hadn't seen different groups of countries making huge alliances like this, not since the Peloponnese War in Hellas, 400 BC. So it was something people didn't know how to tackle. My colleague Torstein Sæther said this, and I think he put his finger on something very real. It was a new situation in politics, with people thinking along old lines, and also at the same time this nervousness. What is this country or that country going to get up to next? And so let's look at the countries as they were in 1875. And first you had Britain in splendid isolation, ruling the waves, as of course it should have. I'm being ironical, I hope you understand that. And basically managing perfectly well on its own. It didn't need friends, thank you very much. You had a newly formed Germany, and you had the great power France, the great power Austria-Hungary, and you had Russia, and a newly formed Italy, and down in the corner Turkey. This is a Europe that has now just begun to take a relatively recognizable modern shape. But right before this, there has been a major war between Prussia and the northern states on one side and France on the other, finally ending up in the unification of Germany. And something very tragic happens. There are two very tragic things. I haven't taken the PowerPoint that concerns this war particularly, but what happens is that the victorious Prussians, they not only defeat France in a blitzkrieg, an unexpected lightning war, but they take the King of Prussia and they place him in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles Palace, and they declare him Kaiser of Germany. What have they done? They have not only defeated a country in war, which is always a problem, but they have humbled the French people in the most maximally. They have gone to the pride of the French nation, Versailles, the thing that demonstrates French culture and French prestige, and in the very Hall of Mirrors, they declare their king, the victorious king, to be the Kaiser of Germany. Whereupon, of course, Britain then declares Victoria to be the Empress of India. But what does it do? It humbles the French people in a tremendously traumatic way. And guess where the peace treaty after the First World War was signed? And guess why they chose that particular place to do it? So it's how to provoke and arrange for a revenge war in one easy lesson. But they didn't stop there. They took Alsace and Lorraine, which were disputed territories between the eastern and western Franks, and they make it part of Germany. Now, they don't take the whole of Lorraine, but they have taken the province that Joan of Arc came from, France's national heroine. Another way to provoke a country. Take one of the most important pieces of their history and make it yours instead. It's not a good way of going about things, folks. Put it this way. But here you then have Germany in the aftermath, and Bismarck now is concerned at keeping the peace. And he works very hard at it. But the problem is that Bismarck has already created the conditions for a First World War. It doesn't matter how many alliances he makes. The truth is that he has already invited a First World War sooner or later. And ultimately, with people then saying a First World War is a good thing, even it's going to purge our youth, it's going to purge our culture, and so on, you're going to have problems. So what happens then? Now they're going to find friends. And first they form the Three Emperors League. And the point of the Three Emperors League is that these three countries will stand together, they will not attack each other, they will support each other, and basically maintain a good balance, and therefore also a bloc that keeps them safe from France. But in addition, Germany and Italy are naturally friends. It's partly due to, well, in fact, it's also due to Prussia and Sardinia's alliance that Italy is able to become a united country, and France is the country that has stopped the fulfillment of that unification. And so Italy finally becomes totally united once France has been defeated. So it's a natural way to join the Allies on. But the history doesn't stand still. So Germany goes forward and forms the Triple Alliance, but stays friends with Russia. There is a problem. That when you go into the details, first, with Austria-Hungary, they have the Schweinbund, that they're going to be allies, and if one country is involved in a war, so is the other. But the other way it works is that you have a defensive alliance with Italy, between the two countries. Now this means that if either any of the countries are attacked or declared war on, then all three are joined together. But not if one of the others declare war. So Germany will be with Austria-Hungary whatever happens. Italy will be only with Austria-Hungary if Austria-Hungary is attacked, and also with Germany. Now, at the same time, Germany maintains its non-aggression pact with Russia, and basically the wish to preserve the peace is genuine. And this comes to expression in the Congo Conference, where the danger of a major war starting between the rival colonial powers is really imminent. So Bismarck summons diplomats from different countries to a conference to agree on the rules for dividing Africa between them, and this averts war at the same time as, of course, handing the whole of Africa over to be trampled on by the Europeans. And everybody is racing to be first. So the moment the Congo Conference has been completed, then Cecil Rhodes is trying to take what now is Zimbabwe and Tanzania, and the French are trying to take the whole of the Sahara Desert, the British press from Egypt downwards, and so on and so on. The scramble for Africa, it certainly puts the problem somewhere else, but it gives the rest of the world a terrible problem. So peace is bought in Europe at the expense of Africa, and in one way you can say, well, when the First World War finally does happen, they're actually only tasting their own medicine, but on a much bigger scale. Now there's another problem as well, and that is that although you have these friends, it's not necessarily going to stay this way. So the situation is that Britain, with its splendid isolation, is interested in defending itself and itself alone. So it defends Turkey basically to keep Russia from entering into the Mediterranean. And in this, of course, France agrees as well. But at the same time, there are certain problems. They're rivals with the French, but the Russians are rivals with the Austrians. And Germany is more or less an enemy of France. The things have dampened down, but it's not as if it's forgotten. It's not forgiven and not really forgotten. And of course, both Britain and Russia are expanding in the northern areas of India, and they're encountering each other as they move into the Himalaya areas. So the question is, who's going to get which bit? And at the same time, Russia naturally would like to grow at the expense of Turkey.